Hello, Buddhas. Let's take a minute to talk about what happens when you assume. Now, Buddhas, before we get started, I've got to let you all know that I've got a playlist down below in the description with well over 130 Buddha Billionaire videos at this point that you can watch to accelerate your spiritual awakening. Now, we are told that when you assume, you're making an ass out of me and you. It's funny because assume, you can sound it out and make that happen. But if you really think about it, you're doing assumptions, the art of assuming, all day. So why are we constantly reiterated and told that if we assume something to go a certain way, that it's not going to work out? I'll tell you why. Because assuming is actually how it works. Let me explain. The law of attraction, which is huge, everyone's into the law of attraction right now. The law of attraction kind of explains that you gotta think about the thing that you want and it's gonna come to you. Which, maybe that works. I'm not 100% sure. However, the Neville Goddard method, called the law of assumption, is where you actually assume that what you have already is. And the reason that this is so powerful, Buddhas, is because of our everyday existence. I assume that by speaking to this camera, it's going to record what's happening. I'm assuming that. Now, you could argue and you can say that I know that, but they're really quite similar or even the same thing at this point. I assume that when I get out of bed in the morning, I'm gonna wake up in my condo where I live right now because that's my natural set point. My existence is centered around here right now. I assume that when I take out some cat treats, Butterscotch is gonna come running and he's gonna go meow, meow, meow and want all his cat treats. I could also say that that is just how things are and there's nothing special about it. Which is correct. There is nothing super special about any of this, to be completely honest. But if I apply those same feelings, that power of assumption, that if I do this action or if I feel this way, then these are the results. If I wake up in the morning, I go to bed at night, if I wake up in the morning, I'm going to be where I woke up. If I assume, though, instead of being where I am now, that I'm going to be where I want to be, I'm going to have what I want to have, then through my faith, and this is the whole concept of faith and belief and all that stuff, is believing in your own assumption. Through the faith and the assumption of the wish fulfilled, that that is indeed the case, I am not attracting that to me, I am allowing that to happen. Or maybe I am attracting it. At the end of the day, how, who, what, where, when, why, all that stuff is not really the scope of what we're talking about here. But if you can fall asleep assuming that you already have what you want, let's say you want to have a partner. If you fall asleep assuming that they're laying there next to you in bed, and you continually do that, eventually, because the universe works on the path of least resistance, the universe is going to say, well, there's a disconnect here. You genuinely believe that that is the case, and yet when you wake up, there's this constant oh, that's not actually happening, so let's make that the case. The universe is trying to make things happen as easily as possible. It's not trying to expend a bunch of energy to make it difficult for you. That's all you, by the way, just saying. And I'm seeing myself in the reflection of this recording, of this monitor, and I know for a fact that this resonates to everyone here. But if you assume that it needs to be difficult, or you assume that there's going to be obstacles in your way in trying to attain that which you desire, then guess what you're attracting into your life, people? Yeah, so I needed to hear that one, and I hope that some of you also needed to hear that a little bit. But if you assume that you are where you want to be, or you have what you want to have, or you're doing what you want to do, or you're with who you want to be with, then through the faith. Now, this is not something that just instantly happens overnight. Now again, it can, but for a lot of us, what we need to do is make it the normal set point and stick with it. And maybe in a month, maybe 2 months, maybe in a year, you will have, or be, or do what you assume to already be the case. So let's stop making an ass out of you and me. Let's realize that our assumptions are actually incredibly important. And let's take them a little bit more seriously, but have fun doing it. So don't assume that things are going to be hard. Don't assume that there's going to be negativity and hardship and all this crap that you don't want in your life. Avoid assuming that. Instead, assume that you have exactly what you want and you are exactly who you want to be and you are happy and healthy and fantastic and all this wonderful stuff. And then when you can prove it to yourself, maybe start off small. But when you can prove it to yourself that this is indeed the way that it works, and Buddha's, this is the way that it works, then you can go bigger, and you can do more, and you can start to imagine lovingly for others, which you should be doing anyways. But at the end of the day, Buddhas, imagining lovingly for others is very important, but it's not the most important thing, because that is remembering to love yourself.